Hello and welcome to my channel. It's time for a new battery. It didn't last as long as I hoped. Welcome back and thanks for being here. My name is Scott, and about 3.5 years ago, I shared with you my first battery replacement. And a lot of people gave me grief on that video. The battery, the original factory battery, lasted about 2.5 years. And all I could hear was, oh, Volkswagen is junk. Volkswagen batteries are junk. Never mind the fact that in the video, I stated that I abused my battery. I have a slew of electronics in the car, ham radio equipment, stereo equipment, and I abused that battery. There is no denying it. So I decided to upgrade my battery to an X2 Power AGM battery by North Star. That battery has 775 cold cranking amps and 67 amp hours. It is a dual purpose battery, so both starter and deep cycle. I decided to give it a try. I was very optimistic that it would last 4 or 5 years. So I was a little surprised when it didn't, but then maybe not so much. I started experiencing some slow starts a couple weeks ago, and even once or twice came out to a dead battery, maybe because I had been listening to the stereo or ran the windows up and down a couple times while the car was off. In fact, well, it's not installed right now, but I have an antenna cable pass-through that rolls up in this window, so there's a lot of up and down with the window while I was building that pass-through. And yeah, that would, when the reserve capacity of the battery was failing, I would flatten the battery quickly. I had also flattened the battery a few times by doing dumb things like leaving the parking lights on or just dumb stuff. So I thought, for the extra $100, which it cost about $100 more than other AGM batteries, I decided I was going to replace the X2 with a Duracell Ultra Platinum AGM battery. My goal was to stretch it out a little bit, wait till payday. Yeah, here comes Hurricane Ian, just hit Florida. We're about to have 5 days of rain here, and I decided, especially after I went to start the car this morning, and it was a really slow start. It started, but it almost didn't, and I had a bunch of voltage faults and everything in the doors, and yeah, so I'm like, I'm not waiting for 5 more days because I can't replace it if it's raining. So I decided to just go ahead and replace the battery. So I went down to Batteries Plus. I took some tools with me because I knew I would just swap it out there in the parking lot and not pay the core charge. And so I went down, told them, hey, I've got a dead X2 battery. Well, failing X2 battery. The car was still starting just fine as long as I had a fresh charge on it and hadn't messed around with the key being on and the engine off very much. And they came out and they tested the battery. Sure enough, they verified right away it's bad. How bad? No, the device doesn't tell you. It just says bad. Well, much to my surprise, I did ask about the warranty. X2 Power batteries have a 4-year warranty, and I was below that 4 years. And I thought for sure they were going to prorate the warranty, and that's okay. I abused that battery. I had probably flattened it 5 or 6 times over the course of those 3.5 years. And so I would not have been too peeved if they had prorated it. But instead, they just says, yes, you're due a replacement. And so I wasn't going to buy an X2 battery, but they gave me one for free. So how awesome is that? I'm not going to complain about that at all. I didn't even have to sign any paperwork or come back into the store. Basically, they disconnected their gear from the battery, and I commenced to removing it right in the parking lot, and then they brought the replacement out to me. I didn't have to go back in the store, sign anything, or nothing. Everything was super easy. Thumbs up to Batteries Plus. I think they're fantastic. So I put that in, turned on the key. Reminder, when you disconnect your battery, if you've never done this before, you will get faults. I got a fault for, I think it's steering, tire pressure sensors, and I want to say cruise control. Those will go away after you drive the car 20 to 50 feet, especially if you happen to turn a corner in the process. Once the car relearns where everything is, you're good. I think my cruise control did not reset, and that fault didn't turn off until I made it to a stop sign, shut off the car, restarted, and then everything was fine. So don't panic if you get fault indications when you replace your battery or disconnect it. In my previous video, during my first starter battery replacement, I had coded that battery, and a lot of people pointed out that it wasn't necessary. My car does not have a battery monitoring system, a BMS. Do you have a BMS? Well, if your car has the auto stop, auto start feature, like when you pull up to a traffic light or a stop sign and the car turns off automatically and then restarts when you press the gas, you have a BMS and your battery probably needs to be recoded. Mine does not, and I don't think any manual transmissions do. So I didn't have to recode, but I did go through the recode steps anyway because I wanted to change the serial number in the gateway module. Not because I had to, I just wanted to. I had suggested in that previous video to use instead of a serial number, to put in the date. And so I put in 0020220929, which is today's date. If anything, it is a convenient way to store the date on which you replaced the battery. So I did that. I'm hopeful that this battery will last longer than 3.5 years, because now, if you've been watching my channel, you know that I have the lithium ion battery back here, and that now takes the ham radio load. So very seldom does my starter battery have a draw on it while the car is off. And it feels a little weird talking about my starter battery, because in a car, most people just say my battery, my battery, my battery. But now I have two batteries. So I've got the starter battery up in the front and the house battery in the back. And I have a lot of load on that house battery. So no load on the starter battery when the car is off, except for if I'm listening to the stereo, and I might even wire the stereo to be fed from the house battery. That way almost nothing is pulling from the starter battery when the car is off. So all right, so that is my, I have 169,000 miles on the car. So it lasted a little longer, but still a lot of the time I was spent in an abusive environment. And so I probably did it to the battery myself. This next one, this one here, should last longer. We'll see. I'll let you know in about 3 or 4 years. So thanks for visiting, and let me know if you have any questions. Take care.